All right. So we're going to talk about insurance affiliate. You know, the dilemma that we face with insurances.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any questions for me regarding that? That like as like somebody that doesn't know a whole lot about insurances.
How did you even get talking to someone for all that except from just looking up on Google?
Oh, dude, it was such a headache because I thought it was going to be like super simple. You know, where it's like you phone an insurance like broker. And I was like, yo, I'm doing a tattoo academy. Just looking at tattoo insurance for our students. See if we can, definitely get that for them. And they were like, oh yeah, you can definitely get it sorted. Yeah. And I was like, okay, sweet. So I sort of thought that was like going to be super easy, right? And then we spent, all this time creating the Tattoo Academy courses, all that information, like what, a year in the making, it's crazy. We'll touch on that in a wee second. But yeah, then I phoned them up whenever it was done, right? And I was like, yo, so we're ready to go for it. Can we get our own insurance for the Tattoo Training Academy and, for ourselves? And then can we just get like a rough price for like what students are expected to pay? And then they were like, oh, okay, yeah. Is the Tattoo Academy government recognized? I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, tattooing isn't government like recognized, So I was like, right, I'll look into that. And then they're like, okay, and are you like third party accredited? I was like, okay, what like TVQ? I was like, that's one of the qualifications. And I was like, okay, I'll look into it. So I started phoning around. It's like there's no third party accreditation for tattooing that currently exists apart from one. I found one, right? But what they were trying to do is something like next level. I got in touch with them, and their curriculum goes into something that you don't really need to know as a tattoo artist, like how many bones you have in your body and what each one does for you. How many like facial muscles you have and all that jazz. So they sent me the curriculum of everything that they teach. I was like, you know what? I'm going to actually take that and apply it to the Tattoo Academy that we're doing, but I'm going to leave it optional for the students. So you can learn it if you want, but you don't necessarily have to because it doesn't. You'll never really need to know it during the tattoo, during your tattooing career. So then another catch is if you want to be third party accredited with them, you have to teach every student for 400 hours, making it like a full-time job for yourself. But I'm a tattoo artist also, and I'm not going to quit tattooing just to start teaching people. And plus, like, you're not going to be teaching that many people at a time. I don't expect to teach a class of 20 people. It wouldn't be fair on them. It wouldn't be fair on me. Maximum 4 people is by far like the most you can handle. So yeah, it just wasn't feasible. And at the same time, you're meant to pay them every month and every year. Oh, you have to pay a yearly registration fee and you have to pay a monthly fee just to say have a luxury of being like, oh yeah, we're accredited by them. So hence why they don't have that many accrediting, centers basically. Because no, it's a scam. That sounds like a pyramid scheme. And I wasn't for doing that. And plus, we spent all this time actually recording all the useful information that I know on how I got started in tattooing and applied it to the curriculum. So ours is unique. Yeah, so then it's like, okay, what do we do then? We can't get insurance. So then we started looking around at all different places and like other different like tattoo courses and what other like tattoo schools have done. And we found one that was like third party accredited through a holistics third party accreditation. Like Reiki and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, you're a fine line tattoo educational center that is third party accredited by holistics. That makes no sense. It just looks good, so that's why they've done it. No, there is like another accrediting course that we could have used, but again, it's just a lot of money. It's like you pay them over £1,000 a year, and it's just not worth it. But luckily, we came across Westminster Insurance, and yeah, they are absolutely perfect. And I came across another one. It was a tattoo insurer. They're meant to be like really good as well. And we didn't get insurance through them for us, and it's just because they want to cover the whole tattoo studio and the academy ends of things and the cafe and stuff like that. But we were already covered with like another insurance provider for everything else. So it didn't make sense for now. But I told them like renewal we might switch over, but who knows. But yeah, Westminster Insurance is definitely the best one for us, I think. Yeah, no, it was a melt. That was like a whole month of my life just gone, constantly like phone calls and making sense of it. And with tattooing apprenticeships not being government recognized, technically nobody's done the tattoo apprenticeship in their entire careers. So all these tattoo artists taking on apprentices, it's not a legitimate apprenticeship. It's not government recognized, so nobody's insured in that ends of things. So it's like wrapping your head around it. It's like tattooing is such a grey area just because there's so many different ways of learning how to tattoo. There's no real right or wrong approach, hence why it's so difficult to get insurance. So here's me on the phone to environmental health, our governing body for our studio. I was like, look, how can we make this happen? How can we make third party accreditation? So like instead of like trying to find it, we couldn't find it, so let's make one. And nobody's going to help you do it. Like the council doesn't care. Like all these like accrediting, like accrediting bodies. Nobody's going to help you create a third-party accreditation for tattooing. So I don't think it'll ever exist because it's such a grey area again. So it literally got nowhere except for those two insurance providers, which is pretty cool. But saying that, there's like another provider that you can go for, provided that you're supervised. You're supervised by a tattoo artist for 6 months, so you have technically three options. But yeah, that basically covers the whole insurance and things. Do you have any questions?
No, not on the moment.
No. All right. So okay. So moving on to why we have the initial self-assessment and what to expect. So Andrew, like, if you're signing up to a course, wouldn't you want to know basically that they are taking into consideration all your like learning needs?
Yeah.
Is that something that you find in your time in education that people like teachers have neglected?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And then they don't actually understand if you're having troubles learning and stuff like that, and everything with that, and so it kind of is a big struggle for you when learning. So yeah.
Yeah. But did they like find out about that?
They'll find out about it, but it's a whole scheme. It's a whole thing. If you go to your high school, get a letter made from your principal. Oh yes, let's say it's dyslexia. He has dyslexia. I prove this because of this. Or do you have extra time learning stuff? Go back to your high school. He has more time learning this, which is a pain in the ass for it.
Yeah, yeah.
But
at least now you know. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of different learning difficulties out there. So and you just don't know until you ask the person. So that's a lot. That's something that a lot of courses don't take into consideration whenever they're taking students on. So we went into a lot quite in depth with it and find out their learning style as well. So it's like, do you like to learn from like watching somebody do something, or do you prefer to learn from like a notebook, So for our course, like we've covered pretty much everything, so like we have everything written down, we have a great presentation, we have the videos, and like we have the visual learning in person, from me, so they can ask questions as well. So we've covered pretty much all the bases, and like I'd like to tailor it specifically to the individual, whenever they're doing the full tattoo training, program. So everyone that does it has to fill in like initial self-assessment, which gives them all the information they ever need to know, and it's free. Whenever like somebody applies to it, they need to fill to our academy. They need to fill it out, and from there I'll be able to decide what is the best approach for them. And I'm not going to scam people out of their money, like hard-earned money. I'm just going to say, like, look, it's not for you. I would suggest you do try this instead. Instead of like setting them up for failure. Which a lot of
Places.
yeah, because and that's why, like, tattoo courses and tattoo schools have like such a bad name. It's just because they take people on, they don't care, and they just show them like the bare minimum, and may not even show them how to do it right, and then they send them on their way, and then they're kind of stuck. They don't give them advice on the insurances, they don't give them advice on how to set up by themselves, and they're stuck. They just don't know what to do with themselves. So they go start looking for places, for work, in different tattoo studios, and they're just laughing them out of the place because, they're not going to take them on, because like you don't know what they've been taught, and they may not have space in their studio, so they're left with no option but just to be a scratcher from the house, and that's unhygienic, unsafe, unprofessional. So like I can understand why tattoo schools, like get a bad name. Hence why we're trying to do things different. This is why we've implemented the initial self-assessment and the gatekeeping through that. I'm not going to tell them to, like, I'm not going to accept them unless I know for sure that they're a good fit for this. And trying to give them the best possible advice, and through that, depending on how they perform during this, they can either pass or fail. But either way, when it comes to the end of it, I'll give them solid advice on how to move forward. And some people might even get like space to work with in the studio. So yeah, then that's supervised guidance. They can come to me for further questions. So work away, bring their own clientele, and just basically like space rental. But I'm always there anyway, so they can learn more from me over time. And if they want to move on in the future, by all means, So yeah, we're just trying to do things different. We're trying to make it as safe as possible, as accessible as possible for everyone. Hence why like it's so difficult to come up with a good name for this, because I don't want to say tattoo course or tattoo school, because it just sounds bad, So tattoo training program, because we want to be different. We want to stand out, and we want to do things right, because otherwise, what's the point, We're just going to be like another tattoo school, which is horrible. I don't want to do that, But yeah, cool.
I've got a question on like the self-assessment thing.
Yes.
So, people, you said you're gonna like gatekeep and see like if people are right for it and stuff. You're not just supposed to give them to anybody.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna be asking like, do they need a draw? Are you gonna ask for their drawings, that sort of thing, or is it?
Yes.
Not working?
I need to triple check that, but I'm pretty sure we have like between 3 to 10 designs that they need to send us. Obviously, if somebody can't draw, it's not really going to translate too well in their tattooing career. So, I'm going to tell them like, look, unfortunately, your portfolio isn't up to standard. Let's work on this. Here are some adjustments and improvements that you should make. And then if you can prove that you can make those adjustments and come back to us, then we'll accept you, So, yeah. Do you have any questions, Andrew?
No, not all there.
Alright, cool. So, moving on. Behind the scenes. Oh man, remember like when it all started?
Got a lot of input in this.
Yeah, behind the scenes. Like we spent over a year working on this, like a year is a long time. But most of that was literally like the videos, wasn't it? Like every now and then coming into the studio, filming some of it, putting it together, editing it at home, it was a lot of work. How did you feel at the time? Like when you first starting out, doing the Tattoo Academy videos, how did you feel?
To be fair, I wouldn't actually thought you would completely go through with them.
Oh really? Why?
I don't know, it sort of seemed like it's just like an idea.
Yeah.
and it's like that's a cool idea, but it's like not focus at the start, and then eventually you're like, okay, this is actually a good, better idea. So the longer, more sort of like maybe a month once we first got the idea, then we really started to kick off with it, and we're like, okay, we're really put stuff into it, and so that's sort of like the first initial thought of it.
I think I kind of had that thought at the start
Yeah.
as well, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, was that like your first kind of something that you were creating?
Yeah.
Your first venture.
It was like I've done we side YouTube projects and stuff whenever it was like during lockdown, but
Nothing like this.
nothing like as big as this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, I'm so excited to like actually get it released. We're working on you know social media now, building up the posts, and you know I think we're onto like 8th or 9th post already. So yeah, we're going to start releasing all the content soon enough, and I'm excited. Like all the people are going to be inquiring about it and seeing those videos. You know, it's going to be definitely worthwhile now. You know, but it was such a long way forward. But that's how like projects start out. You know, at the beginning. You got your initial idea, and then as you're starting to get into it, you're fine tuning things. You know, it's like maybe this is the best way forward, maybe that way. You know, and that's why it took so long. It's just because we're chopping change so much content and so many things.
Just general life got in the way and stuff with it too. Like
Oh yeah,
jiu-jitsu for example, or going into school and stuff. That got in the way, and then extracurricular activities like boxing and stuff like that too.
oh yeah.
That got in the way, but then whenever that's sort of finalized down, you're like, okay, I really need to get this stuff going because this is good.
Yeah.
It just sort of went from there.
But you got into this whenever you were like 17, wasn't it?
Yeah, 17.
Yeah, so you know that age, you know, like 17, 18, 19, it's such a difficult age because you're doing so much, like so much. You're finishing up school, you're deciding what you want to do with your life. You still have those like, as you said, extracurricular activities, you know, like jiu-jitsu, martial arts, whatever it is. Getting into your first like relationships and finding out everything about life and stuff, you know. So it is really difficult, and then you know having the balls to take on a project like this, you know, it I have a lot of respect for that, basically, you know. So yeah, no, I hope like it really goes well, you know. I think this is going to be a part of that, you know. Obviously, like me and Andrew are brothers, so yeah, like it's like a family business what we've done there, you know. I'm excited what the future holds. Yeah. But how was it like? You know, more of the behind the scenes, coming in, filming things. You know, like what's your kind of thoughts on that? How'd it go? Do you think? I mean, we didn't have too many bloopers, which is good. You know, it was like smooth.
It was quite smooth, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we had maybe like 1 or 2 hiccups at the start, but once we've rubbed that out, basically, just steam after that, it was just,
Yeah.
it literally went quite smoothly.
Oh man, I remember the first video. We were just like, oh, it was like it would take so many takes, and then we decided like, fuck it, we'll just go for, you know, like a script, you know. Oh, so we're like looking at the camera. It's like, so today we're going to be talking about. Oh, such stupid. So today we're going to be talking. It was horrible. That took so long.
Yeah. It was worse editing it. Editing it took a while, but...
Oh, I remember the ums.
Yeah, that was a lot of time for doing all that, but it was our first time doing it, so...
Dude, was that not like before AI started coming into play?
Yeah, like none of the descript stuff, that's what I've been using for the subtitles for the videos, and that wasn't, at least to my knowledge, wasn't there whenever I was actually doing the videos and stuff, and it itself has, you know, remove ums, ahs, and
Oh, no way.
so quite literally would have saved so much time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if only we waited like a year, wasn't it? Oh, jeez. Yeah, no, I think it was like a cool journey. You know, looking back at it now, it was fun, like creating it.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's really just putting it into practice, you know. So, no, it's good. It's good.
It was nothing but laughs, you know. It was real good fun, man.
Yeah. Well, there's more to come. Just capture content for more social media. Just when we're teaching people, whereas like actual content and information, we've kind of exercised all of our kind of options there. We've put across all the information. But if I ever think of anything, I'm gonna obviously add it to it. I actually got myself like a wee journal, like a learning journal. So for every class that I'm going to be doing, and throughout this journey, if I learn something new, I'm going to write it down, and then I'm going to implement that into the curriculum, and just slowly build it even more. But that's if and when. At the moment, I'm pretty satisfied with how it's looking. But for the videos, I think we'll just keep it exactly the same the way it is. But other than that, yeah, like I don't really have much to say about behind the scenes. It was just very smooth.
Smooth. Like I had to learn a lot, even editing the videos itself, and learning obviously about the AIs and stuff to do subtitles, to do the transactions of stuff and everything to do with like just making a video.
Yeah.
So a lot of that took time, even doing completing it, because I had to learn it all.
Yeah.
And then obviously the more installments of AI, it actually became a lot quicker. But
yeah. Do you think that kick-started your passion for advertising and video editing, and now it's like turning into like a flair, like something that you want to pursue in your like career now?
Yeah, because like back 2020 when I started like doing small YouTube videos and editing stuff like that, like it's fun, but you don't really care about it, and so you kind of make just a slot mess. But when it's something that's like, okay, this is a real project, like a real thing, then you put a lot more actual time and make it quite serious, and then you actually start to learn, and then you're like, this is actually quite great, like fun. Like you just sit, work on it, put on music, put on YouTube, learn something in the background while you're doing a video, and you just kind of have fun. It's better than going outside.
It's better than going outside. We should get that on a t-shirt. It's better than going outside. Oh, I like that. That's cool. But no, like you definitely have like a talent for it. It's very rare to find. Like I couldn't. Like I hate editing things. That's why I don't do a whole lot of social media. Like putting videos together and stuff. It's just so mind numbing for me. And like I'm a perfectionist, so like I sit there for ages, and it's like, no, I hate that. I don't like that. And then you end up with like a 10-second video that you spent like 2 hours making, and it gets like 5 likes. And then you just beat yourself up about it, and you're like, what's the point?
Yeah.
But you have like such a flair for it, where you can create like so many cool videos like so quickly, because you got that experience, which is cool, So
that's just the perks of growing up watching YouTube a lot.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that eye in mind, being like, typically it kind of goes like that, but I'm making it a little bit different.
I think it just requires a different mindset. Like I grew up on YouTube as well, but I focus more on like the educational part of it. What the video is like trying to teach me, whereas like you're looking at what the video is trying to teach you through editing, and like how it was done, and like the camera angle and stuff like that. And so it's just like your brain's kind of programmed different to think that, but that's just like life in general. It's like there's so many different perspectives looking at something. But yeah, I just went on a ramble there. Let's bring it back. Yeah. Other than that, like anything more behind the scenes? Is there anything like a significant moment where you were like, oh wow, like this is something? It's cool.
Talking about it with people and stuff. Like here I'm making videos for this like for an actual tattoo academy course program stuff. And they're like, oh, well, what's that? And you tell them all about it. And they're just like, well, that's pretty cool. And so just even the other people saying, that's cool, made it cool for me, even doing it. So it boosted it a little bit.
Right, yeah.
Because obviously when I started doing stuff, I told everybody, this is what I'm doing, this is the thing that I'm doing. Why are you not going out tonight? It's because I'm doing that.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, cool. And they'll say, talk to me more about it.
Yeah. See, that's law of attraction. Like the more you talk about it, the more you think about something, you have more willpower to actually do it. But see, a lot of people confuse that. People think, oh, like the more I talk about it, the more it's going to happen. But you're going to get that instant gratification from the people you tell. So it's important to recognize, oh, although I'm talking about it and feel good talking about it, I haven't done it yet. So like that's where a lot of people go wrong. Um,
Showing proof that you're doing it too.
oh yeah,
Like for
yeah,
me,
for
I
sure.
was just on call with my friends and stuff and like Discord and stuff, and then streaming my screen and me working while talking to my mates and stuff. There's like, so how you doing that? And it's like, we'll just do that there and that there, and that to kind of fit something together. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's cool. It's like, I know, it's cool. It's
Yeah.
cool.
See, that's what I mean by talent. Like even they're like, whoa, like that's crazy. There's not a whole lot of people that can actually make that happen, which is why you have like this talent in it. How I got into tattooing. It's a long story, very, very long story, and maybe we will cover a lot more in depth with it, in the podcast that we're going to be doing. But basically, I've always wanted to be a tattoo artist ever since I was a kid. I love tattoos. Seeing like the tribal tattoos, growing up. Like like the tramp stamps, as you call them nowadays. It's like I loved all of it. I was like, that is cool. That is different. That is unique. It's just awesome. Like I was just so like in love with it. But then it's like everyone was telling me, tattoo's not a real career. You're gonna waste your time. It's not gonna work out. Just do it as a hobby. So I pushed away from it. Whenever I was like fucking 12. So I was like, yeah, right. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna be that. I'm gonna be this. Like started experimenting with different things, and nothing was sticking that I really was passionate about. So every week I was coming to my friends group and I was like, yo, I'm gonna be an architect. I'm gonna be a doctor. I'm gonna be all this. But finishing A levels, like lower sixth, I was like, right, this is it. I'm gonna have to actually decide what to do. Done work experience with an entrepreneur. I looked into done work experience with an architect and done work experience with a barrister. And to be honest, like I got a tattoo around the same time, so I give me like 4 professionals to speak to pick up their brain to find out exactly what's right for me, and it was definitely tattooing. After I got my first tattoo, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a tattoo artist, and I broke my mom, like our mom's heart, like what I mean, because she was like, oh, I didn't bring you over here from Russia to like become a fucking tattoo artist, so. Yeah, that was hard for her to kind of like accept, but I kind of acted as like motivation to prove that like yeah, I can make a success, so I can build something from this. So that set me off on my journey, and I applied to 2 different tattoo studios. First one rejected me, and then the second one accepted me. And so I told them like, look, I need to finish A levels and then I can start. And so that's exactly what I did. But that studio was whack. Like it was atrocious. It was basically like a lesson for me in what not to do. And then one of the guys who was working there, he was like, yeah, I'm setting up my own studio. And I was like, bro, take me with you, please. So he was like, okay, I'll see what I can do. But initially he didn't want to take me on, and it was a bit risky for him. He told me to apply to different studios. And that's what I did, and all of them weren't really hiring for apprenticeships, but I was kind of like somewhere in the middle, I wasn't quite like a junior artist and I wasn't quite like an apprentice, so trying to find somewhere in the middle was very difficult. But he eventually ended up telling me like, look, come in on a Sunday and Monday whenever the studio is closed, and then he'll teach me. I just brought my own clientele. I was like learning, and he would show me roughly what to do, and then eventually he was like, "Look, I'm flat out here. I need your help." And I was like, "Right, sweet, let's do this," And I was relentless, like I was working literally like full day session, like half an hour break, full day session, like 2 full day sessions in a day, and I was working like basically 6-7 days a week. I was just like a workhorse. I just love tattooing, and like to be honest, that has not stopped. Now I'm like a lot older. I'm like 27 now. Basically like 10 years into my career now. Like starting from like drawing, tattoo designs, being accepted in my apprenticeship at 17 to now. It's like you know I can't keep up that pace. So I've kind of cut it down to like a full day session in a day, which is what you're meant to do. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was working for him for a while. So for the first 2 years, I was still learning, but in my third year, I was like I've kind of plateaued. I'm not really getting anywhere in the studio. So I worked that extra year, same pace, really hard, at a 50% rate, just as like a thank you, for like giving me that opportunity to get started in my career. But through that, I was like, look, I need to start building something for myself. I was like 21 at the time, I think, 2021. So I was like, right, I'm gonna find somewhere local to rent from. Find a barber shop with a room in the back. And we agreed on, like I give him 4 weeks notice, and then he was like, look, I can't really survive without you. And I was like, look, right, fine. We created a contract where I would pay him like for so many weeks, while, like whenever I was like moving out, because like I fully understood like he wouldn't be able to survive without me because he stopped tattooing altogether like because it was working so hard. So I was I completely understand. So looking at back at it now, you might think like, oh, he was using me because like I didn't have to pay him, because I wasn't in his studio. He wasn't doing anything for me. But like out of respect, I agreed to it, So I just kind of worked for the first like 2 3 weeks, like as hard as I could just to pay that off, because like it was meant to be like spread over like 4 months or whatever. But I was like, right, fuck it. Like in 2 weeks, I had that paid off. So it was like even the shop manager at the time was like, dude, what? You did that in 2 weeks? And I was like, yeah. Cause just to be over and done with. Because I just want to cut ties. Because like he just got very like greedy, very. I wasn't happy with like the dynamic. And we haven't spoke since, to be honest. Obviously he just got butthurt over like the whole situation. But I mean, if he acted right, we could have held a healthy relationship, whatever. So yeah, then I started working in a barbershop, in the back of it. Like we kept it separate, so like no hair or anything got in. So I was like very careful with that. And then just kind of that acted as like a stepping stone into creating my own thing. But I never wanted to be just a tattoo artist or just have like a tattoo studio. I wanted to do something special and different. So at the time that was when COVID started hitting, and that was a really good time, like really good time, because I had all the time in the world, just to sit at the house and plan everything out. I wasn't allowed to work or else I'd get fined. So I was like, sweet, this give me all the time in the world to plan for my special studio. So I was like, right, what is the priority here? To do high quality tattoos, to diversify into piercings and dominate in the town and local area for piercings, to provide the best possible service for those two services, and eventually get tattoo removal into it as well. And at the time I was thinking like, yeah, barbershop, and because like I was in a barbershop already, I kind of studied that business. I thought it was cool, the dynamic was cool, like it worked really well. So I really wanted that to happen, but it failed miserably. It crashed and burned. I realized that like barbering is very different to tattooing, as it's like really specific to the personality, to the individual who's cutting the hair. So we had like one or two barbers, and like the first one was like wanting to try, but he wasn't very good with people. and then the second person was like really good with people, but they weren't showing up, and they're taking personal day here and there. And then we hired like a junior to learn from them, and that was a disaster, So we decided to sell off the equipment, never really tried it again, And then we got laser tattoo removal, which was perfect, It was so difficult to get that through the regulations and quality improvement, RQIA. They're very difficult to work with. It took a whole year basically to get that as well, but we're glad we have it now, then I always thought like, yeah, like it has to be like a free, like a high quality education as well. But at the time, I was young, dumb, stupid, thinking like I could move mountains. I accepted like two or three, basically three apprentices, and then more and more people started asking me, oh, can I be part of it? Can you teach me? And like at the time, it was like, oh well, every opportunity you should accept, because that's what I was being told my whole life. It's like whenever an opportunity comes your way, take it because you may never get it again, I was like, yeah, let's do it because they don't need me anymore because they already know what they're doing. They're just coming to me, for a bit of advice and stuff like that. But I didn't consider like every person has different personalities, so some people weren't mixing, and then it created like a divide. So we had like the three OGs, like at the time that like they built the whole place, and then you got everyone else that were just being horrible, like not working, and just wasting time, space, and resources for nothing, So we were on a decline. We were near bankruptcy, So like I had to pull some strings to recover from that, So we done a whole like 180, and finalized the shop, and then here we are. But like that, there's so much more to like the story. I will get into a lot more detail in the podcast, because like the shop took like 3 years to like finish, to build. But yeah, that's a little bit about like how I got into tattooing. As for like the teaching, through my experience in like teaching everyone, at the time, I was thinking like, yeah, I'm gonna go buy my own devices, and like what I know to teach people, and look at me whenever I was starting out, what I wanted to know. But through that, I realized that like it's probably safer to do a teaching course if I was to do it like more professionally and offer my services to learners, So I done my teaching course, studied really hard for it, and then implemented basically what I learned from that into the Tattoo Academy, and made it as easy as possible using the experience I've had from teaching everybody else. I think I've taught like maybe 5 people in the past, maybe slightly more, I think. I don't even remember anymore. And I've helped like loads of different businesses as well. Like I've helped like a piercer get started to basically he was just trying to like screw me over through it all. I felt like different people, like self-employed people build their careers, like barbers. I've inspired loads of tattoo artists now, they've just like met me from just like a general chat. So many things, so yeah, no, I have a lot of experience in educating people, and just like an innate ability to get information across and just inspire people to learn, that's what I love to do, like it's like dad energy, like I've always had that for some reason, so I just sort of thought like, yeah, let's do it professionally, yeah. So yeah, no, I love teaching. Like it's one of my favorite things, other than tattooing. So like if I can do both, awesome. But yeah, through the courses, it's like I can detach like personality, like my own personal self from it, you know. So it's not like, oh yeah, let's build a good like personal relationship for it, you know. Like it's not a friendship. It's actually you're paying for my services to get to get my like all the tattooing information across to you, give you the best possible start in your career, and do whatever you like to do throughout that, and keep it professional. Don't get too close, basically, you know.
Yeah, don't get hurt if you get told that you're not for it as well. Don't build that strong connection.
Yeah, because like a lot of my issues like in the past came from like people trying to get like too close, or like me trying to be like friends with everyone. But unfortunately, like it doesn't really work out in business, you know, and because like feelings get hurt, and things break apart, you know. So yeah, it's just having like that fine line, and I think the courses have that, you know, pretty much sorted for us, you know. So yeah.
Oh, question.
Yes, Katrina, let's go.
So this is kind of going back to the start of where you started there, but you said like obviously you started your career when you were 17. Did you have any issues when you were going to like tattoo studios and stuff? Being like, I'm 17. Obviously, the legal age for getting tattooed is 18, but there's no technical laws in terms of the person tattooing being 18. Because I know like we looked into it in terms of environmental health. We had some people kind of coming to us and were like they had some questions, so we looked into it for them. And there's no real kind of guideline being like you have to be over 18 in order to do it, but you have to be 18 in order to get it. So it's like a weird thing. You like come into any like issues when you were trying to do that at 17?
Yeah, no, not at all. The studio that I started in, they did not care at all. He was tattooing me. So like for me, I've always like looked old. You know, ever since I turned like 16, I've had like facial hair. So I never really looked like I was 16. You know, I looked like I was already in my 20s. So like the tattoo artist, he never even asked like my age, like until I was already like 19. He was like, no, until I was already like over 18. He was like, oh, when you turn 18, like really, like yeah, did you not know? Like oh, I need to finish my A levels was like a dead giveaway. You know what I mean? But no, at the time. It wasn't really an issue, and I don't think like if you become a tattoo artist under 18 is going to be an issue like giving somebody a tattoo. They may look at you being like, oh, you don't have enough like experience as a tattoo artist to tattoo someone, you know. So the customers may look at you like that, but at the same time, we've put a limit. You know, we're only teaching people over 18 because maturity is still a big thing. And I think that's 18 is like universally like agreed upon age where you become officially an adult and you're mature enough to comprehend what you're actually doing with your life and you're responsible for your own actions, you know. Whereas before that, you know, you're still a little immature, you know, so you might be making decisions that you're not proud of in the future, especially accepting certain tattoos that you probably shouldn't have accepted at the time, or being put in a position that you didn't know was wrong at the time. Whereas like if you're 18 and over, you kind of know what you're at then, you know. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. But yeah, have a look at some of my tattoos. That's about it, guys. I don't really have much else to say.